I was in the G3, which is the planning cell, before Desert Storm with the 101st Airborne. And we were hearing, of course, the news that Kuwait had invaded, and Bush and Cheney and Powell were all talking to the Saudis at that point in time, saying, we really think that we should come into Saudi Arabia, that we should stage there, that we should help you, that you guys are next. That if we don't do this now, it's only going to continue and get worse. So they pushed back and they said, well, first of all, we're not going to have certain members of your military in Saudi Arabia because we do not allow that. And they started off with Black individuals. Now, the military at that time was still heavily integrated, and I know we came back with a quick no for that. That took about 10 seconds. Then they came back and they pushed about women. Now, this was very new, 1991, to have a lot of women, and women in combat arms at all was just starting. They were in a lot of support roles. That took a couple of days for the military to get back with them and say, no, we're going to deploy as is. But to be honest, I think their ultimate motive was there will be no Jews. And that was a request that we heard down. And I just remember at that point in time doing the research on that, and there were like 0.03% of the force that would deploy was Jewish at that point in time. The answer took a while actually to get back, because that's an easy number to fix, quite honestly. It wouldn't impact readiness. You could make that up. What they ended up doing was, of course, a compromise where the chaplains that went over there would not have a cross or the Bible, or the Ten Commandment concept. They would all get a general star on their sleeve. We told them we wouldn't do services over there. There was a type of discussion of what would be allowed and what wouldn't be allowed. And apparently they came to a compromise, and we never had to change our force structure, but we did make certain compromises over there. Being a Jewish soldier, maybe there are some differences that you have to run into. I had the one bad unit, so I will give you that story. So I was going to be transferred into the 2nd or the 320th as their executive officer, or S1. And the outgoing commander wanted to make sure that I arrived 3 months before he left so that he could write an officer evaluation for me. Now, that man's name was Lieutenant Colonel Fullenkamp, and he brought me in. He was very, very aggressive on what date I needed to start so that he could write an OER. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever you want, sir, I'll report on that date. And he gave me a top block OER. I really did nothing for him for the 3 months. I was just learning the job. And the reason he did that was because he was aware that the next commander in was prejudice. And he didn't like Jews, he didn't like Blacks, he didn't like Mexicans. All of his company commanders were white and from the South. The 3 senior officers in this unit were myself, a Mexican officer, and a Black West Point officer. We were all the 3 seniors, and we should have had battery commands, and we didn't. And I would always give them crap. I go, you guys don't understand prejudice, because we were friends. I go, you guys have no idea what prejudice is. And they're looking at me, giving me crap. Like, what are you talking about? And I go, I don't know if you noticed this, but when you came in the room, I knew you were Black and I knew you were Mexican. Did you know I was Jewish? And they're like, no. And I could give them story upon story of, once again, because I'm Irish and German, really, and I was adopted into a family, I could give them story of times where I have listened to the most racist comments about Jews with people just right next to me, and they had no idea that I was Jewish. And I go, so I know prejudice better than you ever will, because I sit there and listen to people in Germany talk about Jews, listen people in my college who in dorm the first year didn't know I was Jewish, the second year they didn't talk to me, and so on and so forth. Thousands of stories like that.